Hey everybody, Mark with ExoticCar PlayPlace. And I don't want to bore you to tears, but today this is a very practical exercise. I'm changing the battery in my E70 X5. Why? Because I've had really ugly cold weather here as of late. And so this process is going to be the same more or less for the E71 X6. So if you stick around, I'm going to show you step by step. I know it's not rocket science, but there's some little nuances, and I'm going to show you the tools that you need to do this job. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what needs to happen for this video. All right, let's go. Show you right now, you need a Phillips screwdriver. I always use a nice pry bar, and this really isn't for anything other than, you know, trying to avoid knuckle breaks there. We also have a 10mm socket. That's to undo some of the hardware for the top, and I'll explain. We have a 13mm socket as well, 13 mil. And we have about a 6-inch extension or longer. You're going to need this to get down on the one side, and I'm going to show you briefly. And of course the ratchet. These are all the tools that you need to get this job done. Okay, so we get started, everybody. Make sure you follow the whole video, because the last half of the video I'm actually going to be showing in more detail with all the tools how I fully reassemble the battery and do the full installation. So I take that out, then underneath that you've got this little tray. You just pull up on there, pretty straightforward. That lifts out like that. Now what we have is this situation. Well, the battery is tucked in right underneath here. So what we have is a Phillips screw here, and then there's two down in here. So if you have a bunch of junk stored in here, make sure you get that stuff out of there first. 2, 3, 4, 5 screws you need to take out to get access to the battery. Okay, so now that we've got this base shell out of the way, now this is what we look at here. There's a few things we want to do. We need a 10mm socket for here, a 13mm socket here, 10mm socket there, here, and there. So there's a few bolted connections that we have to undo, okay? You want to get this bracket off. Then down there on the side, you want to get that 10mm. Of course, you're going to need a long extension to get that out of there. So I want to get that out. And then there's a 10mm here up against the base, the back wall here. Those three will get the brackets out. So you undo the fasteners. You basically want to undo this. You want to undo this. There's a 10mm here that holds a battery connection here. And then I'll just show you, then there's a 13mm here. You want to split this from this piece, okay? You want to get that, put that away to the side. Then this separates from the actual base terminal. So once you got those off, this off, then you got the bracket off, then you can proceed to pop your distribution block off. And again, that's where I use the good old-fashioned pry bar. You can use your fingers too, but I don't like to get cut. I like to save myself injury. Now, I'm gonna move this. There, so we put the new battery into place, lock it down. Okay, so before we put that top bracket back on, we're gonna reconnect the positive terminal. This is where we're gonna change our socket. We're gonna use the 10mm, and we're gonna tighten that down. You don't wanna go crazy, just snug it up. Snug. Don't go crazy, just nice and snug, that's all. Close that down. Now we're going to refasten this business. Now this is where we need the 13mm, so we connect up our block. This is our power block. Of course, we want to make sure that's buckled down to the battery. So there. Now we're going to put the nut on there. See, just a quick little spin that beast on there. Put this on the 13mm socket, snug that down. Not too crazy either, button that down. Now we're secure and we're safe. We snap that down, you see? Everything's tight. All the protected terminals are in place. Now we're going to put on the negative. This is where it all comes together. All right. Now we put that on. Let's switch back to the 10 millimeter socket to snug this one down. All right, got that. Now we're gonna put that bracket over the top. This guy here, well, you wanna make sure you get that tucked in underneath. Careful not to cut any wires, because the red is, after all, is a positive, and if you cut it and you're attaching this to ground, you effectively can short the battery. You don't want to do that. Okay, so now we're going to grab the first bolt. I'm going to just lightly screw this one up the top here. Let's get it started. I'm not going to tighten it in there just yet. I want to give some play just to hold it in place roughly. Okay, now we're gonna do the bottom one. I'm gonna try to get my hand down in there and try to get it started. So I'm just gonna use the extension and 10 millimeter socket as well. The beauty is the terminal bolts and the fastening bolts are all 10 millimeters, so it makes it a very simple job. So I snugged it as much by hand. Now I'm gonna give this a bit of a snug that down even better here with the ratchet. That's about all. We don't need to go crazy there either. And this one here, the top. There, that one's done too. Now we got one more bolt, one more to fasten. So we got this little bracket on the end here. We want to make sure we get that in place. That's just going to hold it from going back and forth. Again, by hand as much as I can. And we're just going to snug that down. Pretty straightforward job here. Even a monkey like myself can manage this job. Okay, that's in. Positive, negative terminals tight. The distribution block here is tight, and all my brackets are in place. Now we're good. Let's get the rest of this in place. Okay, so we got the battery back together, and now, of course, the reversal, of course, I just put these 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts or screws back in to make sure that we got this fastened in. Now we're going to put the cover back on. And we're going to put this back into place. And now we're going to give the car a start and make sure it all runs. I would expect it to. I don't see any reason why not. The battery's new, in good shape, and fully charged and ready to go. So hopefully that helps everybody. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Come back, check out my whole plethora of videos on how to, my X5 videos, my M5 videos, Lambo videos, and everything else. We'll talk to you guys real soon. See you then. Bye-bye.